Hi, I'm just sharing a few thoughts here, and also giving a spot of promotion to Ken O'Keefe, and I'll leave a few links to his videos under this video, and also a couple of other people that I have a lot of respect for who share videos on YouTube and who discuss the facts, the crimes, and recognise the victims and survivors of those crimes. And also, you know, well, they do that not just to, you know, as I say, promote, dish out some truth porn for a host of truth junkies out there who do nothing at all except just wait for the next, you know, headline truth porn. And, you know, people like Ken O'Keefe tend to attract support from activists, you know, people who are actively working to change this world. People like myself, you know, who do whatever we can addressing what's going on in whatever way we can, and, you know, that does involve putting ourselves at risk and suffering the consequences of that, be it either from the authorities that feel threatened by our questions, or from the people directly around us who suddenly decide we're a security risk and, you know, decide to shun us. And the sad fact is that a lot of people who decide to shun people like myself, you know, they aren't honest about that. They regularly create a problem out of nothing. You know, they actually fabricate so-called reasons to cause animosity and thereby justify cutting off all friendship, and that is very hurtful, because I do genuinely love people, and that's just a fact of who I am. I do love people, I love my friends, and I genuinely care about them, so it's very hurtful to be suddenly, you know, falsely accused or judged on the strength of lies, and when you know that actually it's really about the fact that they just don't like what you're doing and they really want to cut off all associations with you, but they haven't got the courage to say that. So instead, you know, they dump negativity on me, and then that impacts on me personally. And, you know, Ken himself has also experienced some of that with the horrible attacks from people that whose friendship he really valued, people he had supported and whom he believed were supporting him, and instead, you know, they've totally turned against him, and he has been forced to issue public statements and various evidence, you know, basically to waste valuable time dealing with the horrible accusations. And, you know, I'm very pleased to hear from Ken here that he hasn't succumbed to depression, and that he feels very positive, and he really values the support from people, because in spite of the attacks against him, Ken O'Keefe does continue to receive a lot of support from a lot of people who see through the garbage, you know, from the likes of Richie Allen, who, you know, he accuses Ken O'Keefe of exploiting the truth movement in order to profit for himself. I mean, for goodness sake, £100,000. You know, that he's, according to Richie Allen and co, Ken O'Keefe has swindled out of people by making false promises and blah blah blah. Never mind how much Richie Allen gets paid, how much money gets paid into his Patreon account. For doing what? You know, has he put his life at risk and gone to Palestine and witnessed his friends being shot and killed just for the sake of trying to deliver some much needed aid to an oppressed, persecuted people who are living in a series of concentration camps surrounded by military checkpoints. You know, when Richie Allen has done that, then he will have a right, possibly, to judge Ken O'Keefe. Except he hasn't. He sits there on his radio show that's, as far as I can gather from my own research, is a facet of David Icke's work. You know, David Icke's websites. So, you know, Richie Allen gets paid a handsome amount of money for discussing things like, you know, child abuse, murder of children. But what is he actually doing about it? Has he ever written to even one authority to ask any questions? And it's the same with David Icke. He talks about all the problems of the world, but what solutions does he actually promote? What does he actually do to address those problems other than sell his books? You know. And I'll say that, and yet still appreciate the fact that David Icke and Richie Allen are there informing the public, because at least the public do get some information and then they can move on with it. Okay? But I do stop and ask questions when those same people like Richie Allen, are then attacking people like Ken O'Keefe who do actually do something. And I fully empathise with the impact of such criticisms. It is tiresome, and like I say, it just makes things go slow. You know, sometimes people need to back out and shut their mouths. Because why attack the people who are actually trying to do something? I mean, I get on YouTube regularly, I witness people who go on and on and on about all the problems of this world, and they're getting money through Patreon, through advertising, okay? But what do they actually do? Oh, apparently they need money just because they make a video. Well, you know, maybe they do. Some people on YouTube, very professional people, who do spend a lot of time research, and they've devoted their life to sharing the truth and facts with people of history and giving people accurate information. I'm happy for them to ask for donations. As far as I'm concerned, they should get those donations. They need some support because they devote their whole time to that. Okay? The same as Ken O'Keefe. As far as I'm concerned, Ken O'Keefe should have received £100,000 and more just for the work that he has been doing, just to get support so that he can continue to address the plight of Palestinians and the plight of what's happening to so many people on this planet right now, to confront the injustices and to promote the solutions. Okay? So, you know, whether or not he actually does manage to produce, you know, his one world citizenship or not, I know for a fact it certainly won't be, for lack of his trying, okay, and for lack of his devotion and his genuine care and compassion. So, in comparison though, you know, I have to say that unlike Ken O'Keefe, I have felt very depressed. I felt very oppressed and actually persecuted. I've been made homeless. I've been imprisoned. I've been accused, falsely accused and judged. I am a very lonely individual, and I really don't get the support from fellow activists and people promoting solutions. I don't get the direct support that I give to them. You know, that is just a fact of it. I am ignored, and that is hurtful. Okay, that's hurtful because I've been ignored from being a child. I was ignored by the authorities when I reported very serious crimes committed against myself. I was ignored when I tried to help and prevent crimes against other children from my youth. I was ignored when I witnessed a universal golden light being that transmitted the message of universal law of abundance and compassion through an energy of bliss. I was ignored. Nobody believes me. You know. So I am asking you, Ken O'Keefe, and others like you, to please show some interest. Help me to share this message, because I'm in pain, and I don't, you know, and I don't think that's a weakness. I'm in pain because of that message, because of the innate responsibility that comes with it, because I do care, because I understand and know the solutions, and I have absolute 100% faith in the universal intelligence that created us. And I do understand that until humanity reconnects with that intelligence, not as a belief but as an actual fact that is proven by quantum science, by quantum energy, until that happens, nothing is ever going to change in this world. Until people understand the reality of our light being body, the reality of what Jesus explained to us about living lawfully and the damages to our soul when we fail to live lawfully, when we ignore the law, when we live in ignorance and abuse. Until people accept that, then the people of this world are always going to hanker after money. They're going to put money before all else. Money and power. So, alright, I understand how certain people who have huge followings online, for whatever reason, you know, when they open their mouth in support, that immediately, oh yes, yes, I would love to talk to you. Okay, but when people like myself, who have no power and have no money, are sharing equally valid and important information, not because we're seeking fame and fortune, but because we genuinely care about the life of our planet, that is hurtful, because it's just more ignorance from people I least expect it from. And I am tired. You know, for 26 years I have lived under a heavy weight of oppression and actual persecution. Okay, that's the fact of it. I've been persecuted since my childhood, and I've survived. And yes, I do have PTSD. Yes, I am human. Yes, I do get angry and shout and swear sometimes because of the pain. Okay, those are cries of pain. But instead I get judged. I get judged. Oh, I'm so horrible, you know, I've got no dignity. Where is my dignity? You know, to me, how dare anybody expect me to be dignified? What is dignity? What? To be like a psychopath? To pretend that I'm a BBC News reporter? To hide my pain? To hide my suffering? To pretend that, oh yes, yes, I'm fine, you know. No, I'm not fine. I'm really struggling. I can count the number of people, the physical people who are standing by me in this world. I can count them on the fingers of one hand. And online, well, you know, online, I've had to disable comments and likes because the dislikes and the negative comments outnumber the positive ones 20 to 1. Perhaps actually 50 to 1. Okay, that is the fact of it. 50 to 1. So I would like, you know, you, Ken O'Keefe, to show some empathy. Not for me, okay, because I'm nobody. I'm not interested in self-promoting. That's why I don't show my face. That's why I don't ask for money. I've not written my experiences in a book to be sold, okay? The universal law, universal message of love is not for sale. Now, I support you and I support the people, the other people, But I have yet to receive the same support. And I'm asking for this support, not for me, but for the light being, okay? Without which, without that quantum light energy, we would have no planet even to live on. We would not even exist. It is the same quantum energy, universal intelligence that wrote love into our DNA. Okay? Love that the powers of this world totally ignores, and they have conspired to manipulate and control humanity for their own highly abusive and criminal desires. And it is insanity, and I've been fighting, I've had to survive that insanity from my childhood. I was abused by both of my parents. And nonetheless, I've lived with compassion. I haven't become an abusive person. So, okay, I get angry sometimes. I swear. In a world, you know, that judges me for using expletives in my pain. Okay, but they quite happily accept the judgment. Mine a human being on their children. Now who in the truth movement is picking up on that? Because until we change these word spells, nothing is going to change. And I am sick of being ignored, and I am sick of being treated like an idiot, and I am sick of being judged, and I am sick of people not believing me, of being told I'm mad and a liar, and being treated like I'm mad and a liar. I don't understand it. I don't understand it. But meanwhile, you know, the Richie Allens of this world, yeah, you know, everything that comes out of his mouth is gospel, isn't it? David Icke, oh, it's all right for him going swanning about the world, going on about, you know, Jesus when he first came out, after, you know, and what was the result? How did he get his experience? Oh, he took some mushrooms, well, no, what was it? Cactus, when he went to Peru. You know, I didn't take any cactus. I wasn't taking any drugs. I wasn't a BBC News sports presenter. I was an ordinary British citizen struggling to understand what's going on in this world. I didn't ask to witness a light being. I wasn't a religious person. I wasn't somebody who went to church and, you know, prayed every day in the traditional way. I've always prayed every single day within my heart and consciousness that things are going to change, and tried to find how to change those things by getting educated, by surviving, by refusing to succumb to the depression and keep going on and on and on, and actually get to Polytechnic and to learn the bigger picture. And what for? What's the point of it? Why did I go and educate myself? What? So that I could live in a nice house with a cushy job and look down on everybody that's failed to do that? No. Because I genuinely wanted to understand, because I genuinely felt a need to try and do something, to use my life in honour of the universal intelligence that created me. Because that is the only thing that got me through my childhood, was understanding that. Was my faith. My faith not in the religion, but in the human beings that are now captive in those so-called faiths. Because, you know, at the end of the day, the religion is of men. And, you know, Jesus has been held captive. Jesus did not come here to establish Christianity. Jesus came here to show us a true example of a human male as a son of man. Man being both male and female, and a son born of man. The union of male and female. Two sides of man. Okay? And standing in direct opposition to Jesus has been the Roman construct of the human male. Apparently. an entity that has no compassion, that lives by a heart of stone, that lives by his own law of might equals right to do as thy will. Okay? Jesus' law is right equals might to do as thy will. Are you right? Are you lawful? You can live freely. It's only the criminals that fear universal law. It's only the people that don't want to see women and children have rights. It's only the people that don't want to see our children be given the status of VIP instead of unimportant stroke minor human beings. It's only the criminals that want to continue running this sick banking system, and it's the criminals who stood against Jesus. And, you know, I witness in this world, oh, people going, oh, the second coming, oh, Jesus will be coming soon, we'll be having the rapture. The Satanists, okay, the Luciferians, the anti-Christians, many who consider themselves Christian actually, living by the religious interpretation of Jesus, they are in their rapture right now, aren't they, with their God, President Trump. And just the downright hypocrisy of it all. No, Jesus isn't going to return to humanity in one form of one man that everybody's going to worship. You know, very clearly the prophets state every time in the Bible that every time they've bowed down to an angel or something, they've been admonished, said, no, do not do it. They don't want to be worshipped. Jesus did not want to be worshipped. Okay, Jesus did not come to experience and enjoy an ego trip. We worship the law. We worship the intelligence. We strive to live by it. Yes, we will make errors. Yes, we will admit our errors and learn from the errors of our ways. Yes, then we will be forgiven, because forgiveness does not include ignorance. We forgive when we can trust, because we believe, we have faith that that person is genuinely sorry. That person has genuinely learnt from their mistakes. That person will not be a danger to themselves and others again. There are too many misinterpretations, and Jesus returns to earth when humanity returns to Jesus as a true representation of the true human male, as he represents a true, strong human male. Any male who cannot hold compassion in his heart is a disabled, weak human male if he has no compassion, because compassion is the true measure of intelligence. And the scientists, you know, the alleged intellectuals of this world with their IQ tests, well, I'm sorry, that's why your IQ tests have failed. That's why your professionals, your highly educated people are involved in serious child abuse and every kind of crime being committed on this planet, because your IQs are not measuring any level of true intelligence, because you ejected compassion from your science equations, humanity. And as a result, you're not living like human beings. You're not living in a humane world. You're not living a humane life. And I don't know how much longer I'll have on this earth. I do suffer from a lot of health problems that, you know, PTSD does impact on my physical health, and I have no control over that. I have no control over it. And, you know, what helps me, the only time my PTSD is going to abate is when people start believing me, when I am accepted, and I've not been accepted. I am not being accepted. I'm receiving the opposite of acceptance. I'm receiving ignorance and attack. And so, you know, like I say, please share the links that I will leave below. Share this video. Support and follow Ken O'Keefe. But I ask those people to listen to what I'm saying, to please give me some credibility. Because I really feel I've just been banging my head against a brick wall. A brick wall. And no matter what I do, all I receive is, by majority, negative judgments and ignorance. Just total ignorance. I write to people, you know, what's his name, Thom Hartmann. He had a guy on discussing quantum energy. You know, I get in touch with him and explain, well, you know, will you pass my details on to this guy? Or I get in touch with people directly who talk about such things. They totally ignore me. And yet here I am, imagine the impact of witnessing a universal light being. Just imagine witnessing it and living with that for 26 years, having all the responsibility on my shoulders. That, you know, apparently priests in the church, they're supposed to have that responsibility, aren't they? The ordained of this world, who get thousands and thousands of pounds a year and live in big posh houses and get loads of credibility and social respect. But no, they're not carrying the reality of it, are they? I'm carrying the reality of it. I'm living with it. I'm expected to deliver it. And how am I supposed to do that when nobody is listening to me? And instead, I'm just being persecuted! Well, this is the last video I'm making now because I am having to flee my home. I'm having to flee again. And I am out, so now it's up to you people to start picking up on reality and showing some respect for the universal intelligence. Okay, because that is the job that this universe gave me to do. So, I do send love to everybody. And I apologise to people who think I'm offensive. Well, understand this. I find your ignorance and apathy offensive, and your lack of faith. All I can say is stand up for your children's rights if you can't do anything else.